Hey guys, it's Zach back again. And today I figured I would just give a little update on how things are going with the channel and show a few things in Logic along the way. So, first off, I want to apologize because I was intending on making some videos on using Big Sur, but unfortunately there's a pretty serious bug with Big Sur right now with the recovery partition, which means that if I ever need to erase my computer for any reason, or if something goes wrong, I'm unable to do that with VoiceOver. I hope they're fixing it. There's an update that's set to come out tomorrow, so maybe that'll fix it then. But I have not installed it on my iMac yet. I have it on my MacBook Pro, but I'd rather get it on my iMac because then we can actually play with Logic. So I have not gotten that yet, but I do have a Logic update that just came out a few weeks ago, as I predicted, and this is 10.6, and there isn't really much that's new. It's just a few compatibility things, and they just released an update a few days ago. However, there are some new sounds that I don't believe were there before, but I could be wrong. They may have been there in 10.5, but I just discovered them like today. I do not have all of them installed, but I will get them installed, and then maybe I'll make a video kind of going through some of these new sounds and making a track with them. That's exciting. There are a few VoiceOver changes that are pretty cool that I'll show today, mainly related to how VoiceOver reports things. So for example, if you are going through your tracks and you have something muted or soloed, it will tell you as you're going through which tracks are soloed or muted, which is super helpful. And there's also something that I hope will be added to in the future. There is an accessibility preference pane in the Logic preferences menu now in the general category. If you go in, there's a preferences tab, or an accessibility tab. And right now there's only one control. It basically is a checkbox that says open all plugins in controls view, and that will make them accessible to VoiceOver. Not all of them, but most of the Logic plugins will just be completely accessible if you use them in controls view, because the editor views for right now aren't accessible. I hope that'll change in the future, because I think the editor views should be, but maybe there is a technical reason why they aren't. So this is a good alternative for now, and you have an option to enable that permanently, so you don't have to go in and do it every time, which is nice. And that's about it for 10.6. There isn't much that's new. However, I have discovered a few pretty interesting things in the past few months. I won't go through all of them in this video, but I will make some more videos that go through these features more in depth, but I'll just give you a rundown of what to expect soon. So I figured out how to do automation in Logic. I know that's something that I think some people were requesting, was doing automation, so we will cover that soon. And then I also learned how to use the new step sequencer in 10.5 that was out. That was one of the features I was really excited about, and it's completely accessible, which is great. So I think today I'll do a demo of that, and we can make a song using that. I also was experimenting a bit with the drum machine designer, which lets you make your own drum kits from scratch, and that lets you use like the drum synth that we talked about a few months ago when 10.5 first came out, and you can load samples, and that kind of works actually with VoiceOver. You're able to select pads and then go to the library and load different kit pieces from there, which is really cool. And then you can also, if you don't like any of those sounds, you can go in and either make them with, you can load samples in with Quick Sampler if you have VOCR, or you can use drum synth and make your sounds from scratch, which is really neat. We can do a demo of that today as well, actually, because the step sequencer, you can use Drum Machine Designer to make some cool beats with that. So we can kind of do a little demo of that as well. So yeah, there are a few other things. I just figured out a few days ago how to time stretch audio using what are called locators. And I'll do a whole video on locators and stretching, because it's a pretty interesting topic. The locators are basically like markers that allow you to tell Logic, okay, from this bar to this bar, do these things. So like, let's say delete from bar 9 to bar 18 for all tracks and move everything else to the left. And that way you can shorten and lengthen songs really easily without having to go in and doing it track by track. So that's a huge time saver, but you can do a ton of things with locators, like using them to stretch audio. So I'll do a video on that soon as well, and that's pretty exciting. So yeah, I've learned a lot of new things in Logic in a very short amount of time, which is really cool. And today I figured, why don't we do a little demo of a few things. I want to do the beats, the step sequencer, but I also want to do a demo of importing loops into your project because somebody asked about that a few weeks ago. So I want to address that real quick because that's super easy to do. So let's go ahead and start. So let me load up a new project.
Don't close. Don't save. Save. Don't. Your changes will be lost if you don't save them. Don't save. Press don't save button. Choose.
All right.
Choose.
I'm gonna make a new project here.
Choose a project. Software instrument. Select.
All right.
Control bar.
So.
Tracks group.
Okay, we have Alchemy loaded. So let me open up the loop library.
Show hide loop browser. 10,945 items.
Okay, we have a lot of loops in here. So I'm gonna go in and find something.
Blues Garage. 132 play in pop-up menu. Play loops table.
So we have a loops table, and if we interact with that,
in loops table, row 1 of 132. Type real loop image name.
you click on this image here
Name. Type real loop image.
to actually play and stop the loop. So to the right of that, if you do Control Option right arrow,
Name. Back alley bass.
that's your name, and you can click on this as well to play it. So if I do that,
Back alley.
and I hit it again,
Back
it will stop, and I can just now do Control Option down arrow
Back alley guitar. Back alley.
to go down,
British blues guitar 2.
and I can just hit Control Option space to play. Let me find something that's cool.
This.
Let's see.
Detroit Garage Guitar 2. Detroit Garage.
Let's find something kind of.
Funky Blues Bass 01.
Okay, cool. Now, to put this into a project, it's super easy. You just do Command-C, and it won't give you any feedback, but it's copied it. Then you move the playhead to where you want the loop to be.
9 bars.
So I'm just going to do bar 1, and I'm going to do Command-V. There you go. It's done. It's in there.
4 beats.
And if I want to loop it, I can just hit L.
Loop.
There we go. Now it's just going to loop over and over. And now you can add more. So I can go in
Funky Blues Guitar 1.
and do the same thing here.
What? 4 beats. Loop on.
Here we go. Now, this is an interesting thing. I think I demoed this in the live loops tutorial, but if I go to the actual region area where all of these loops are.
Track 2, Funky Blues Bass 01.
Let's say I want this bass to have a little bit of a variation.
Funky Blues.
I'm gonna unloop this.
Loop off.
And I'm just gonna repeat it with Command R. Now, if I go in here.
In Funky Blues Bass 1.2 region. 5 items, loop family, pop-up.
There's a pop-up button called Loop Family. And what this is essentially, you can choose different variations of the same loop. So I can go in here.
Check Funky Blues Bass 02.
And let's say I wanted, for the second half of this, for it to be
loop.
The second one. So now if I hit play,
4 beats.
I'm going to solo it for a second. Whoops.
2, toggle, out, tracks, header, group, intro, track.
There we go.
Top, 4 beats.
Whoops. No. Come on.
Track 1, track 1, Funky Blues.
There we go.
Top 1.
So I just soloed that, and now if I hit play. There you go. So now we have sort of a longer
toggle
variation here.
Track 2.
I can do the same thing with the guitar.
Track 2, Funky Blues Guitar 1.
So we do this.
In funky.
That's
loop off.
There we go.
Loop family. Funky Blues Guitar 2.
There we go.
Track,
now we have a longer kind of deal. Now to actually loop these again, because they are they're 2 separate regions now, so we can't just hit loop because it'll just loop the first one over and over. So I'm just going to repeat it a few times. So I'm going to hit Command R. And I'm going to go to the first track.
Track 1, Funky Blues Bass.
Do the same deal again. There we go. Now let's listen. So I'm actually going to
Logic.
this one here. I'm actually going to delete it. I'm gonna get rid of
6 large, 4 beats, 4 divided, 6 large, 4,
I'm
6,
just doing
7
a little bit of editing here.
8 large.
So at bar 9, I'm gonna split,
Split.
and I'm gonna just delete that last bit. So we just have an 8-bar loop.
6.
There we go.
Track.
Now I'm gonna do a little bit of a fade because there are some clicks that are going on here that I don't like. So I'm gonna go to the inspector.
Apple. Track.
And I have all of these regions selected, and the way I got to the inspector is by hitting I. I'm
Inspect.
gonna go in here.
3 selected. Table.
I'm gonna go to this table here,
And
and in here I'm gonna go down until I get to this disclosure area, and I'm gonna interact with it and hit Control Option Space to expand it. And then I'm gonna go to my fade out, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a fade out, and I'll do I'm gonna go to this pop-up menu. I'm gonna do a crossfade. There we go. Now all these clicks are gone, hopefully. Do a little bit more because the clicks aren't completely gone. Let's try this.
5 4.
And I'll do a fade in as well because it looks like
10 out of
that.
4 5 3 4.
Okay, there's still some clicks there. I'm not sure if that's due to the. Oh no, that's the bass. Okay, let's fix that.
Apple. Track 2. Funky blue guitar.
Do the same thing.
Library. Table. Fade in. Fade out. Slider. In 10. Out.
There we go.
Fade. Curve. Fade in. 10 out.
There we go. Perfect. I'll do.
Type.
Yeah. Perfect. There we go. No more clicks. Nice. So, okay, this is cool. We have sort of a groove going. Now let's get some drums. So let's use the drum machine designer and the beat sequencer to do something kind of fun. Or sorry, the steps too. I keep calling it the beat sequencer because in the iOS GarageBand, that's what it's called, but in Logic, it's the step sequencer because you can also sequence melodic parts with this, which we might do as well. But let's start with drums for now. So I'm going to go to my software instrument track.
Software instrument. Select.
And I'm going to go down to this
details
area.
I'm
going to go in here.
In details group. 9 items. Album pop-up button.
I'm going to go and click on this, and I'm going to change it to Drum Machine Designer.
Drum synth. ESE.
All the way down.
Vintage.
That's in utilities.
External. Test.
Or no, it's not. Let's see where it is.
Studio. Scope. Set. Res. Quicks. ES. Drum synth. Drum kit is hyphen. Default. Album.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's not an actual plugin. So what we have to do is go to the default patch here, or we can do empty channel strip. It doesn't really matter.
Library.
There we go. I'm going to go to the electronic
vintage guitar electronic
drum kits, and I'm going to find the empty kit patch.
Analog.
Hopefully I have it here.
Atlanta.
I have to go down.
Beat machine. Big room. Boom bap.
Let's see. Gotta go down.
Crate digger.
Until I find it.
Deep tech.
Hopefully it's here.
Depth charge. Drop gig. Drum synth kit. Empty kit.
There we go. You see, we have lots of kits to choose from, and I don't even have all of them installed. There's like 100 or something insane. That's crazy.
Out.
So
Track.
this kit, if I go into the musical typing keyboard, it has nothing on it. I'm just hitting notes. Nothing is playing. No sounds at all. We have to add in our own by ourselves, which is great because that's what we want to do. So I'm going to go to the inspector.
Search sound. Tracks. Group. Inspect.
I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go
audio plugin. Drum machine designer button.
Drum machine designer and click it.
Dialogue.
Okay.
Dialogue.
So let's see what we've got.
Empty kit. Kit controls button.
So it's telling us this is the empty kit, and these are sort of like tabs at the top, I think.
Scroll area. Disclosure triangle. Page switcher buttons. Page switch.
Okay.
Quick nav on.
This is not really the most accessible right now, but it can be done. So let's see. In the latest Logic update, they have an option, or in 10.6, they have an option where if you hit tab, it will go between the pads. Let's see if that works.
Pad controls button.
Let's see.
Close but kick. Display page pad controls. Close button.
Nope, doesn't seem to. Okay.
And kick.
So what we'll do
Scroll area.
is in this scroll area here.
In scroll area, 49 items. C2, perk 5.
Now these are all of the pads
C number 2, crash.
that we can assign.
Page
Switch
switcher.
tabbing again.
Disclosure.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Scroll.
So we have to do this.
It's E3, F3, Tyndale mid.
So basically, we have to find the key that we want to start with.
E-
So
C2, perk 5.
I'm gonna go with
G number 1, pedal E1, snare tip G B4, jam block G number 1, B1, C3, bongo high.
this.
E3, Tyndale
I want
high.
to find.
E2, snare 3, D number 1, clap D1, snare 1, C1, kick 1.
There we go.
C1.
Now these names are just suggestions. You don't have to limit yourself to just that sound, but we will just for this because it's easy. So in order to actually click on a pad and make it active, we're going to hit Control Option Command F5
C1.
and then Control Option Shift Space. Now, if I go out of here with Command tilde, which is right next to the number 1 on your keyboard, right to the left,
Untitled. Tracks.
and I go to the library,
Off. EQ. Out and track. Track library. In cert library. Right. Electronic drum kit. Electronic drum guitar.
I go in here,
Kicks.
we have
Analog circuits. Kicks.
tons of, let's see.
Atlanta. Kicks. Analog kicks. After party.
Yeah, there we go. We have tons and tons of different,
Kit pieces.
there we go. Oh, sorry, we go into here.
Kicks.
There we go.
Snares.
All the way at the bottom, there is a kit pieces category. And in here, you have all kinds of kicks and snares and claps and all this kind of stuff that you can add in.
Kicks.
So let's go here.
Kick 1.
And when you go in here, it will play them so you can hear what they sound like.
Kick 1. Analog circuits. Kick 1.
So
Atlanta.
I'm just going to go till I find one that I like.
Kick 1. Beat machine. Kick 1. Big kick 1. Boom. Kick 1. Crate digger. Kick 1.
Find something kind of...
Kick 1. Depth charge. Kick 1. Drop
Nothing
kick.
too
Kick 1.
crazy.
Drums. Kick 1. Futuro.
Let's see.
Kick 1. Ibiza. Kick 1. Neon. Kick 1. Pile driver. Kick 1. Radiant. Kick 1. Seismic. Kick 1. Silver Lake. Kick 1. Snapback.
This one's cool. I like this one. So I'm going to just keep that. And when I use the musical typing keyboard now...
Automation.
Whoops.
Automation off. Music.
And I find that note, if I go down... Let's see. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Check it out. That's our kick. So now we just have to do the same thing for the other sound. So I'm going to go back now.
Dial.
And I'm gonna go in here again.
Empty kit. Kit controls.
So go back
Scroll
to the
area.
scroll area.
C2. Perk 5.
Unfortunately, it doesn't remember where you left off, which is kind of annoying.
G number 1.
But
E1.
It's not too
G4,
complicated
E1,
to find where you want to be. So we want a snare. So I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do
E1.
the same deal. Same thing. I'm going to go back.
Untitled.
Let's find a cool snare
Kit. Electronic.
to add in here.
Electronic drum.
I'm gonna go
After
in.
part. Kit piece. Kicks. Snares. Rim. Beat. Rim. Snap.
Let's find something kind of...
Rim. Tuck. Rim. Trap. Rim. Rim 1. Rim 2. Snare 1. Snare.
You see we have a lot
Snare 1. Snare 1. Snare 1. Snare 1.
of options. I like this one.
Automation on.
And if I keep the musical typing window active, we
Music.
can actually play them. There we go. There we go. So we got that. Let's get some hi-hats real quick.
Dial up.
So go
Empty.
back.
Empty. Close.
And we'll do,
And kicks.
let's see.
C number 2. Crash. E3. F3. F number. G3. G number 4. A4. Open triangle. F4. Low. C number 4. Short GUI. D4. A number 3. Maracat. A3. CABAS8.
Let's see.
G number 3. G number E4. High F4. Low A4. Open A4. A number B4. G number 1. A1. B4. G number 4. Mute triangle. B4. G number. A number 1. Open B. C3.
Ah, here we
a
go.
number 1. Open A1. Perk 3. G number 1. Pedal hi-hat. B4. A number 4. Jam block high.
You'll see it's not very nicely organized, which is kind of a
A4. G
problem.
number. G3. High AGOGO. G number
But
4. Mute triangle.
What I'll do
G3.
is I'll just put it on here because
Dialogue.
it's the easiest thing. So we'll
G3.
there we go. Gonna click that.
Untitled.
Find a hi-hat.
Track. Electronic kit. Analog circuits. Kit pieces. Kicks. Toms. Hi-hats. Hi-hat 1. 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 Hi-hat 1.
Find something kind of
Hi-hat 1. Hi-hat 1. Hi-hat 1.
nothing too crazy.
Hi-hat 1. Hi-hat 1. Hi-hat 1. Hi-hat 1. Hi-hat 1. Hi-hat 1. Cynthia. Hi-hat 1, hi-hat 1, tough kit.
Let's see.
Hi-hat 1, hi-hat 1, video stop. Hi-hat 2, hi-hat 2, and hi-hat 2, and land. Hi-hat 2, beat machine.
Yeah, this works. So if we find it, let's see where it is. There it is. There you go. So we have a very basic kit. You could go on and add more sounds if you wanted, but I think this is good for now. So I'm now going to make a pattern in the beat or the step sequencer. I'm going to close this drum machine designer here.
Close.
The close button.
Untitled.
Okay. Now let's go in and
Loop browser track.
There we go. Let's go in and make a pattern. So I'm going to hit E, and that will bring up our editor.
Bar 1 tracks.
Whoops. Let's close musical typing as well.
Show.
There we go.
PF.
Now, I'm going to go to the left.
Smart step sequencer radio button.
Find that. We're going to click it.
Step sequencer group.
There we go. Okay. So the way this works is really simple. You have a grid, and each row in this grid is a sound. So for example, kick, snare, clap, hi-hat. And then each, all of your kind of lines going horizontally across are your steps. And you can have 16 steps in one bar of music, and these steps can be eighth notes, they can be triplets, they can be 16th notes, they can be quarter. So you have all sorts of options. So we're going to keep it really simple. We're just going to make a simple, like, kind of hip-hop beat to go along with this. So I'm going to go to the inspector because this is how we are going to be able to use this. The main interface right now isn't accessible, but we can still do basically all of the same functions from the inspector. So
step sequencer toolbar.
I'm going to go to this toolbar and interact with it.
In step sequencer toolbar. 15 items, edit menu button.
I'm going to go to the inspector checkbox.
Func view, show/hide pattern wrap, show/hide local inspector, step.
There we go. Also, you have patterns that you can use as well, and those are accessible. You can browse those. There's lots of interesting preset patterns that you can use, but we're going to make our own from scratch today. So I'm going to go into this
step sequencer group
here. I'm going to interact with it.
In step sequencer group, 23 items, pattern, select.
Now we have a lot of options. So these are tabs at the top, and think of them as like going more and more specific. So the first tab affects the pattern as a whole.
Row, radius, pattern length.
So let's take a look at this.
16 steps, pop-up button.
We have 16 steps. So this is how many steps are going to be in the pattern. Right now we're going to keep it at 16 just to be simple, but you can have up to 64. So you can have up to a 4-bar pattern, and then you can extend that as long as you want. And we'll do that in a second as well after we make something.
Step rate, /16, pop-up button.
This is the rate of the pattern. This is how fast it's going. So like eighth notes versus 16th notes, like half time versus double time. I'm going to keep it at 16th notes because what we're going to do is we're going to actually control this for these individual rows, which we'll do in a second.
Playback mode. Selected radio button.
Okay, these aren't labeled, but if you...
This item...
Nope, they don't have help tags either. Okay, so you'll just have to memorize this, but for right now. So these playback modes are how the pattern's going to play back. The first one is forward, so it'll just go from left to right over and over.
Radio button.
Second one is reverse, so it'll go from right to left.
Radio button.
This is ping pong, so it'll go left to right and then right to left again. So left to right, right to left. And then the last one is random.
Radio.
Where it will just play random notes for however long you have the pattern going for, which can be kind of cool sometimes.
Swing. 50. Slider.
This is swing. We're going to want that, so I'm going to turn that up a little bit.
In 60. Up %. Eighth radio button.
This is how much string, or what kind of string you want. I'm going to just do 16th notes.
Six pattern key. Hey, pop up.
This is for melodic patterns. We'll get to that in a second, because I think we'll do like a cool kind of melody on top of this.
Scale quantize. Off menu
We
button.
don't need to worry about that right now.
Q. Dip scroll area.
And there you go. In this scroll area...
In scroll area. 7 items button. Pop
You
up.
don't really have much here. This button is so that you can add rows. I'm actually going to do that because we need to in order for this to work properly.
Menu. Kit pieces. Automation. Learn command
And
option.
yes, you can automate effect parameters with the step sequencer.
Op kit. Hit 1. Add all. Dimmed. Snare 1. Crate digger. Dim. Hi-hat 2. Beat machine. Dip. Hi-hat.
Oh, cool. Okay, so they're all in there. And the reason these are dimmed is because they're already in here, so you wouldn't want to add them again. That would be dumb. So they're dimmed for that reason. So they're all in here, so we actually don't need to worry about this. But if you were loading up a kit, or if you had more than, I believe it's 16 kit pieces in a kit that you wanted to use, you would come here and basically tell Logic, okay, I want this clap to be included so I can add steps to it. essentially is what you're doing here.
Button, pop-up button.
Then if you go to the right,
/16, pop-up button.
this is kind of the same things that you had in the inspector. They're just not as labeled as well.
Playback mode, pop-up menu, button.
So same kind of deal.
Button,
These
16.
are some unlabeled buttons.
Scroll.
So yeah, you see, it's not super accessible in this area right now.
Out of
But no worries, because we'll still be able to do this. So I'm going to go to the right now.
pad, row, radio button. Press
These are row specific, so these are instrument specific.
row assignment. Kick 1, snapback, pop-up.
You can change that from here if you want a different sound.
Step rate, /16, pop.
Now this is for the individual row. So if I wanted the kick to actually be on the 8th note triplets, for example, I could do that from here without affecting the rest of my pattern.
Playback mode.
And
Select
you'll see this is the same deal. You can have the kick play backwards or ping pong or anything like that. And we'll do that with the hi-hats.
loop start. 1, slider, loop end, 16,
This is cool. If you wanted to do like polyrhythms or something like that, this is a really interesting way to do that. So basically what this is telling Logic is, okay, so for this pattern, only play steps 1 through 14 of the kick and then start over. And then have the rest of them play 1 through 16. So the kick is going to be starting sort of differently to the rest of the elements, and it'll go more and more out of sync until eventually they match up again, which is kind of cool for doing certain things.
MIDI channel. 1, slider.
This is important if you are using like hardware synths or something like that.
Automation mode. Latch.
We don't need to worry about that right now. This is for automation.
Scroll area.
And then we have the same scroll area as before. So then the steps. This is the important part.
Step radio. Press step.
So
Step on /off. Step.
this is your step on off. This is if you want the step to play or not.
Note. C1.
This is the note you want. This is more for melodic parts, but this could be cool in drums too if you wanted to trigger like the occasional tom or something on the same row.
Velocity. 100.
That's pretty self-explanatory. That's your velocity, how loud or how hard or soft the sound is.
Gate. 100.
This is more for melodic parts. This is basically telling Logic, okay, so play these notes really, really staccato. Don't like hold them out for too long.
Percent. Note repeat. 1. Slot.
This is cool. This is for hi-hats. So for example, if I have, I'll demo this in a second too, so it'll be more clear. But if I have like a hi-hat pattern that's playing 8th notes, but I want some of them to be doubled up. So for example, I want 16th notes for a certain part of the groove. I can just put the repeat up a little bit, and that will fill in the dead space between the notes, which is pretty cool. That's how they do all those fancy like trap hi-hats.
Notes. Chance. 100. Slot.
This is cool. This is kind of math type of thing. This is probability. And what this does is it basically tells Logic, okay, so 50% of the time, play these notes. And the other 50% of the time, don't play them. Or like 25% of the time, play the notes, and the other like 75% don't. And this is really cool because you can have sort of built-in variation and a little bit of randomness to the pattern. And you can do this on a step-by-step basis. So if I wanted, say, the occasional like little glitchy type of hi-hat thing, I could do that and have that only play a very little percent of the time. So then if I have the pattern going for like 16 bars, it's not repetitive because there are things coming in and out all the time, which is really cool, especially if you have something that's like 4 bars long and you have different variations from bar to bar. You can have this in the mix, and then you just have a never-ending sort of supply of interesting ideas. So we will demo that later, especially when we get to the melodic stuff. That'll be really cool.
Percent. Start offset. 0.
This is really cool as well. This is start offset. And what this does is it basically tells the step, play a little bit ahead of the beat or play a little bit behind the beat. So this is great for like lo-fi hip-hop or things where you want a more like human feel. You can kind of program that in, which is really nice.
Percent. Step rate. /16.
This is
Pop-up button.
This is the same thing as what we saw in the row in the pattern. So if I wanted an 8th note for a specific step, and then that way it will loop in like sort of more interestingly, and it won't loop right on the 1. So you'll get some interesting kind of variations there.
Skip. Skip step checkbox.
This is cool. This is the skip step. So if you just want a step to not play and it to immediately move on to the next one, you can do that for like time signature things or like polyrhythmic type of stuff.
Tie. Tie step checkbox.
And this is a tie. This is basically telling Logic, so play this note and then don't let it go. Play the next note right after that, but don't let the first note go. So it's kind of legato. It's from what I understand is how it works.
Scroll area.
And then that same scroll area. So, okay, we've kind of looked through that. sort of kind of quick tour. Now, how do we actually input steps in? It's super easy. So the left and right arrows, also make sure that quick nav is off.
Quick nav on. Quick.
There we go. So the left and right arrows will move between steps. And remember, right now there are 16 steps in the grid because we have a 16-step pattern. So if I hit right arrow and left arrow, it's playing the sound because it's telling you this is the sound that you have assigned to that row. You can turn that off if it gets annoying, but I find it to be useful most of the time because I know what sound I have selected at all times and I don't need to check, which is nice. So now we're on step 1 of 16. If I wanted to input this step into the region, I'm going to hit the apostrophe key, and that will turn on that step checkbox. Now, it's not going to say anything, but if we want to confirm, we go up.
Pattern.
We go to here.
Step on / off.
We go to the right.
Step on / off checkbox. Turn the step on or off. Checked checkbox.
It says checked. Now, you don't need to do that. You can also just, if I hit right arrow, now it's unchecked. But if I go, so let's say I do... I'll do this one. I'm going to hit Control Option Space.
Check step.
That'll check it. And that way you can confirm for sure that it's checked. So I'm going to do... I'm going to not do a kick there. And I'm going to do in here. I'm going to do in here. This might sound bad. Let's see. Let's see what that sounds like. I'm going to just solo it for a second.
Toggle.
And I'm going to hit Shift Space to just play that region. And I'm going to do it with a kick as well. The click, so I know the timing.
4.
2. Oh, that's kind of cool, but I kind of want to
step on / off check on check.
Turn that one off.
4.
Nice. And you'll see, so it's a 1-bar pattern, but it's playing over and over because the region that I have is 4 bars long for right now. We're going to extend that in a little bit. So let's add a snare. And to do that, I just hit the down arrow to move to the next row. I'm going to go up to 9 and do that one. Oops, sorry. I'm actually going to do 5. There we go. I'm going to do 13. There we go. Now we've got this.
4. 2.
Actually, that's kind of interesting. I didn't mean for that to happen. Let's go here.
4.
There we go.
3.
I think the snare is a bit too loud, so let's turn it down, but I'm not going to do it in the actual step sequencer interface. I'm going to go to the tracks area.
Track 6, funky. Track 2, empty kit.
And the great thing about the drum machine designer is that all of the tracks, like all of the kit pieces, are separated into their individual tracks, and they're using track stacks to do that. So if I interact with this track,
in track 2, empty.
I go all the way to the left.
Track stack disclosure triangle.
I'm going to simply hit VO space on that.
Press track.
And that will display all of the individual instruments in this track.
Out track 3, kick 1.
Got the kick.
Track 4, snare.
We got the snare.
Track 5, hi.
And we got the hi-hat. So I'm going to go to the snare and I'm just going to turn it down a lot.
Minus.
Let's see what that sounds like.
2 bars. Minus.
There we go. That's much better.
Out tracks time rule. Track 2 and
here's a tip too that's kind of cool.
Track 4, snare 1.
If I wanted to play this pitched, like or if I wanted to program more things in the step sequencer specifically for the snare to do like pitched rolls, this is how you would do it. You'd select the track, and then you could just do musical typing, and when you play, you can have pitched kind of snare. So you could do. They do that a lot in like trap music, for example. Also, if you want to do certain things like add effects to this specific snare, you can do that really easily. And in the smart controls, if I go in here, check this out. You've got all these different parameters.
Snare 1, 50% pitch.
You can choose from
0% distortion.
You control the sound. So if I wanted to change the pitch and maybe make it a little bit higher,
if 52,
I can do that really easily. Let's see what that sounds like.
50.
Now it's more in key with the song.
Out 0%, 50%.
I can add a little bit of distortion.
2 bars.
Nice.
Out 0%. Reverb.
And I'm going to add a little touch of reverb as well. Just a little bit.
20.
Nice. It just kind of gives it a bit more of a roomy type of feel. So that's really cool. Now let's go back to the step sequencer and add in some cool hi-hats.
Step sequence. Steps.
So
Step.
same process. I'm gonna just go down to my
Logic.
Uh-oh.
Step on slash.
What happened here?
Track 5, hi-hat, track 3, kick 1, track 2, empty,
Oh,
track active,
I was on the wrong track.
track 2,
There we go.
track,
There we go.
LogicPro
So
has new
same
window,
deal. I'm gonna go and
hide editor,
show
track,
the editor here. And
inspect,
let's make sure
Logic,
that
track,
we're all...
track 6, track 2, empty kit,
There we go.
track, smart temp, track, tool, track,
Now, oh, this is odd.
track,
So it's actually not showing me
Inspect.
the proper
track,
area. Let me see what's going on here.
track,
This could be a bug with Logic as well.
track 6, funky blues guitar,
Let's see if I
show editor, track,
go
step,
back here.
smart tempo,
Oh, here we go.
step,
There we go. Now we got it.
smart step sequencer, tool,
Okay, so we're gonna go to the sequencer again.
row, radio, step,
I'm gonna go to my hi-hats. Okay, this is where it's gonna get kind of fun. So I'm just going to make
Logic,
this
step,
be
row.
eighth notes.
press, hot step, /6, playback, /8,
There we go.
row, step,
And
radio,
I'm just
press,
going to put in steps
log-
on all of the eighth notes. There we go. Now if I play it, it's gonna sound
Pro,
really boring.
4,
Now it sounds really boring, I know. We're gonna fix that. So now I'm gonna go up to the step sequencer toolbar, and this is where some interesting kind of functions live here.
out, inspector, score, smart temp, step sequencer, tool,
Actually, you know what? No, before I do that, let me let's experiment with the note repeats that I was telling you about.
step on slack, note,
I'm gonna go to my note repeat slider here.
1, get 1 per note, 1,
Now I'm just gonna repeat some of these. So I'm gonna go to this one here
it 2,
and do 2, and that will turn it into a 16th note. I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do
it 3,
3, and that will do like an eighth note triplet.
out it,
Do another
chance,
eighth.
no,
I'm
1,
gonna do another
it 3,
eighth note triplet here,
out it,
and let's see what that sounds like.
1, 4,
Whoops!
2,
And I just lost my audio. Where did it go?
track 6, track 2, 40, 1,
Let's see what happened here. I think we just lost audio. Let
Music.
me make sure that we're all. Yep. Okay, so they're still here. Let me see if maybe
1,
did we transpose it too far?
4,
What happened here?
4, step sequence, smart step, step,
Let's see.
no, G2, slot,
No, we're all good. Oh, did we? Let's see.
G music sharp sign,
I'm just trying to see if I maybe transposed it by accident, which is possible. I could have done that.
ins F3, D sharp 4, D8, G3.
Oh, I see what happened. Okay.
F-
So what I did was
A2, G sharp, G2.
I accidentally hit Option Shift down arrow, and what that will do. This is super useful
Messaging.
for.
G3.
This is super useful for doing transposition for melodic parts. But what that does is it basically
Messaging.
makes the step sequencer go down an octave, which is cool if you're trying to transpose something, but it's not great for drums. So I just fixed that.
4,
There we go. Now check it out. We got our sort of cool note repeating type of stuff going on. I'll add in a few more
Bar 1, B2.
because changing the pattern to eighth notes like that lengthen it by a bar. So we have a 2-bar hi-hat pattern now, which is kind of cool.
1, gate
So
1,
I'm going to
No,
add
1.
a few more in just at random.
it 3, 2, out, it 2, out,
There we go. I'll go back a little bit.
it 2,
Just do
3,
this one.
out, lot,
And actually, you know what?
it 2,
I'll
out,
do
it,
this one.
slot, it 3, out,
There we go.
it 2, out, it 2,
It's
out,
really just about experimentation and seeing what sounds good.
4,
Nice. That sounds kind of cool to me. Now, you'll see that it's kind of sounding sort of rigid and not really human right now. We're going to fix that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this function menu
out of step sequencer, tool,
in the toolbar.
it functions, menu,
We're going to go in here.
press functions, learn mode,
I'm going to go down
transpo,
until I
clear,
get to
clear cap, randomize row values,
randomize row values. This is super cool. I'm going to go in here.
randomize row values, submenu, current edit, step on /off.
So what this will let you do, essentially, is randomize all of the parameters that we've just been talking about. So Logic will come up with variations on its own, and you don't really need to do anything.
Velocity,
So I'm going to have it randomize the velocity.
functions,
And now if I play it, it's going to sound a lot more natural, hopefully.
4, 2.
Now it sounds pretty interesting right now. I'm gonna do it again because
Trim.
I'm not a huge
Clear.
fan of
Red.
how that
Block.
came out. So let's try it again.
Function. 4.
That's better. What I'll do is I'm going to go back and I'm just going to finesse this a little bit by taking some of these higher velocities and taking them down.
Out steps. Step on.
So we're going to, let's see.
LogicPro.
Oh, this one here can come down.
97 and 8 step out.
Here we go. This one
8 6
definitely can come down. Kind of, I want them sort of all around at the same, like, kind of level. There we go. That's much better. Now if we take a listen.
4. 2.
Nice. We can also have it randomize the repeats, and that'll be super interesting because that'll basically give us sort of a different hi-hat variation each time. Let's try it.
Clear cut random art gate tie note octave loops note repeat chant note.
Here we go.
Function.
Let's try that.
2.
Nice. It's a little bit glitchy, so let's try it again to get something that's a little more
Skip step startup
kind of conservative, I would say.
chance note.
Let's see. Let's
Function.
try this one.
4 beats 4 to the 2.
Now, I really like that last bit that it did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of take some of these more glitchy ones down.
It works. G3 20 gate 1 per note rip 1.
Let's see. I'm going to go over here.
Logic.
Let's see.
11.
Oh, yeah, that one's like a little bit crazy. I'm going to just take that down to 1.
1. 10. Slot in 1.
Take that one down
3.
to like
4.
4
Out.
maybe.
Note 6.
Yeah, that's
In
cool.
out. 1. Slide. Note 1. Note 1. 14. In 2.
Yeah, some of these are a little insane.
6. In 3. Out of.
But that's the fun thing
8.
about
In
working
1.
like this,
4.
is that
Out.
you never really know what you're going to get.
Note 3. Note 2. Note 2.
There we go.
Note 1.
Perfect. Now let's see what we got.
4.
Nice. Cool. I really like that, especially the ending there, where it kind of goes up and then comes down again in a really natural way, especially with the velocity. I like that a lot. So we're going to keep that. And now we can also try the start offset. And what that will do is it basically is going to give it more of a human feel because not all of the notes are going to be on the grid exactly. Let's see how that sounds. I'm going to randomize that.
Clear cut random auto gate top note octave loops note repeat chant start offset.
There we go. Let's see what that sounds like.
2.
Interesting. That's kind of a bit wonky. So let's try it again to get something a little more, hopefully a little bit more.
Start. 4.
Interesting. Let's just kind of finesse this a little bit more. You see, kind of the magic with this is that you have to kind of go in, and it gives you like a starting point for you to then go in and
1 per start 20 per 20
make it exactly
10.
how you want.
Out of start 30
So we're gonna just
20
take some of this stuff down a little bit.
fifth out minus 20 it minus 14 out
Here.
minus 7 per minus 17 it minus 7 minus 5 out 20
Just so it's not
in
too all over the place.
10 out minus 3
There, that's nice.
6 3
Yeah, perfect.
minus
I
30
like that.
5 it minus 25 minus 50
Up a little bit.
out minus 40 it minus 10 0 minus 1 out 45
And you see
20 50 out
pretty quickly,
minus 50
just
out
by adjusting a few
minus 48
parameters here,
minus 8 out 0
you can get
34
some really
20 out
interesting
minus 7
patterns. Let's see what this sounds like.
4 3
Interesting. Okay.
minus 7
That's a little bit.
0
I think the
out
ending here, I want it to be a
20
bit more
4
rigid.
minus
So we'll
0
just do
out
that
0 slot minus 8
because I want to preserve that
minus
kind
2
of
out minus 14
feel.
minus 4 out
I'm
14
just gonna
it 4
Can I-
out minus 1
be really conservative with these.
minus 14 in minus 13 minus 2 minus out 3
But where this really comes in useful
6
is when you
out.
are doing layered samples. So, for example, if I have
Minus
like
3.
a clap,
it might out
actually, we can add one in even,
9
and I'll show you that.
minus 4
It's great for
minus 14
kind of giving that more
14
human element
it's
to it.
it's 4 out of 9
There, that's much better. Let's see what that sounds like.
0 out 4
cool. So we have something kind of cool going on now. So let's hear that with our kind of beat and see what that sounds like.
Toggle 4.
Nice. So that's kind of cool. Now we're going to extend this because right now it's very short, and then I'll show you the probability, or the chance rather. So I'm going to go to my region here.
Track 2, empty kit. Track 2.
And just like any other region, you have this border handle, and I'm just going to extend that out to like 16 bars.
16 bars.
Now the thing with the step sequencer, I think this might be a bug. I'm not 100% sure. But it won't actually extend until you make a change to your step sequencer. So I'm going to go back,
Steps.
and I'm just going to go in and do the chance parameter now. So I'm going to go my steps.
No.
And on some of these,
Get 1%.
I'm going to take
Check
the
100.
chance down, so they might not
LogicPro.
play.
In 9, 8, 7, out. 100, 8, 40, out. 100, in 8, out. Percent, 150, out.
And again, I'm just kind of being random here.
50.
That's the fun of it. So let's see what this sounds like now. I'm going to just play it. I'm going to play it
Toggle.
soloed, and we'll play a little bit and see how it changes over time.
4.
Nice. So you'll see that it's subtle, but there are certain hits that are like missed sometimes, and that's really interesting, especially if you then combined it with the playback direction. And if you wanted it to really be interesting, what we can do
Playback
is have it go
press
into ping pong. And what that will do then is it will play the pattern forwards, then it will play it backwards, and that combined with the note repeating and the chance gives a lot of variation. Let's see what that sounds like.
Select 4.
Nice.
9.
So we have kind of a sort of cool, like loose type of hip hop kind of deal. So that's the step sequencer in a nutshell. And now let's try it with something melodic. So I'm going to make another track, and what I'll do this time is I'll select like let's see what we got.
Music.
Well, this piano will work fine actually. Although, let's go like a synth sound or something.
Or synth.
Let's go like a
LED. 70s analog lead. 86.
Let's do this one.
70s. Mute.
Yeah.
Tab.
Let's I'm just gonna make this a bit
Smart
more
1%. Motion.
soft.
28%. Cutoff in 8.
There we go.
0%. Resonant 100%. Decay.
And let's take
52%. Release.
some of this
51%. Delay. Circular.
delay.
0%. Ambient. 31%. Read.
Nice. That sounds kind of cool. So I'm going to go to the step sequencer now.
Tracks. Group.
Whoops.
Show
There we
it.
go.
Step.
And we have a pattern.
Row.
And instead of kit pieces, we have notes now.
Step.
Now check this out. This is where the note parameter comes in really useful. You don't actually need all these notes. They're just rows rather. They're just if you wanted to do chords. But this is just a melodic lead, so we don't need to worry about that.
Row.
I'm gonna go to my row, and I have and you see it's in the key. It's in the key of the song, and right now it's major. Now I'm just hitting up and down arrows. But we don't need all these other rows, so we can delete them, but I'm just going to ignore them for now.
Step. Radio.
I'm going to go to my row.
8th step.
And
A3.
I'm
/6.
going to have this be
/32. /4.
8th notes.
/8.
Cool.
8 row.
Now I'm going to go to my
Step.
step,
Press step.
and I'm just
Step.
going to put in a little melody. So
Like.
I'm going to do like, let's see. Do this one here.
No,
I'm going to go to my note.
A3.
I'm going to go up.
D4.
There we go. And I'm going to go here.
G4. D4.
And let's see what that sounds like so far.
A bar.
we go. So
C4. G3. E3.
oops.
8. 10.
There we go. That's cool. And so I'm going to do that. So do. I'm trying to think. I'm going to do.
LogicPro. G3. G sharp 3. C4.
There we go. So let's see what that sounds like.
8.
Oops, and I'm this now.
8.
Nice. So we have kind of a cool like melody going. So what I'm going to do now
Output velocity 1.
is same deal with the velocity. You can change that.
Get 1 per note repeat.
But what I want to try
Chance 1 per start 0.
is
1
the
per step / skip tie step.
tie. And what this will do is it'll make some of the notes a little bit more legato, hopefully. So let's see.
Logic.
So I'm going to do this one
Pro.
here.
Checked.
This will extend it. Do this one here.
Check.
Oops, there we go.
Check.
There we go. Let's see what this sounds like now.
8.
Nice.
12.
So
Ties.
that's cool. I'm gonna actually untie that one.
8.
Nice. So we have kind of an interesting pattern now that sounds pretty natural. So again, you have all of the other options. You know, you can do the random stuff, the note repeating, all that kind of stuff. But we're not really going to worry too much about that right now. So that's how you would use this for melodic stuff. So if we unsolo this,
Toggle channel strip solo on.
whoops.
Actually,
I have to move it because it plays it
track 6, 7.
in not such a good spot. I'm going to move it back to bar 1. There we go.
Bar 1.
There you go. So we just made a track with loops, with a step sequencer, and programming all of the MIDI instead of playing it ourselves. And this is great for people that don't play keyboards, or if you are like on a plane or something and you still want to make music, but you don't feel like getting out your like, I don't know, 49 key keyboard to play on the plane. This is a great option because you don't need to worry about hooking anything up. You can just go in, and it's a bit slower, but for a lot of things you can do really advanced programming, especially when it comes to drums. Like, I couldn't play that drum beat that we programmed just now. I wouldn't be able to play that myself. I would have to program that in, and now you can do that much more easily than in the past. So there you go. Let's just arrange this for a second, and then I'll play you the whole thing, and then we'll call it a day. So
track 2, empty kit.
let's see.
Track 1.
Oh, let's name these tracks too before I forgot. I'm gonna just call this
empty
like
kit.
hip hop
So P. T.
hit.
Track 1.
And
Funky Blue Bass.
these are already named, so we don't have to worry
LogicPro
about
has
that.
track 6, 70s.
And that's fine.
Track 7, Funky.
So let's see.
LogicPro.
First off, let me actually
Track 6, 70s. And track 6,
Let's extend this out.
70s. Move 8 bars.
16.
16.
Actually, no, let's do 8 bars.
8 bars.
And because of that bug, I have to add something and then delete it. So I'll go back to my
Smart steps view menu but step select step
and
Logic.
just delete that and put it in. There we go. That updated it. So now I'm gonna go back and
track 7 Funky Blue.
this is super easy. I'm
LogicPro.
going to just
Track 6 7
take this one,
9
move it to bar 9, and I'm gonna hit semicolon to move it to move the region to the playhead. There we go.
track 2 hip hop kit.
And I'm gonna leave our hip hop kit here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to say
5 bars 1 5
I'm just gonna split it here,
split
and I'm going to
4 1
simply mute the this one.
mute on
There we go. Let's go. Actually, no. You know what I'll do?
mute on
I'm gonna keep it, but I'm going to take the high the kick the hi-hat out of it.
Step it school.
So to do that,
Small. Step C.
I'm going to go back to my
Functions.
functions. I'm going to find the hi-hat first. Oops.
In track 2.
I unselected it by accident.
4.
There we go. I'm going to find the hi-hat.
Step.
I'm going to go back here.
Steps.
I'm going to go
Step.
to my
Function.
rows.
Row. Rate. Press.
There we are. The hi-hat's already there. Perfect.
Step.
I'm going to go to my functions menu.
Functions. Med. Prep. Look.
And go down.
Clear row. Clear step. Clear row. Command control forward.
Clear row. That's what you want to do. So I'm going to hit return.
Function.
There we go. Now the hi-hat is gone in this first section.
What?
And just like that, we arranged a song. So let's see what it sounds like. Oops, I think the...
Metronome off.
There we go. The metronome was on. There we go. Let's try it again. Oops. And I think actually we forgot to extend
Track 6, 70s.
our bass
Track 7, funky.
guitar. So what I'll do
Track 2, hip hop kit.
is we'll simply do repeat there. There we go.
Track 7, funky blues guitar.
Okay, we'll do that.
Logic. What?
There. There we go. So that was kind of a little jam that we just made in like an hour or so with the step sequencer with loops and sort of arranging it a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to do some more demos of the step sequencer because there's more than what I showed you. You can automate parameters, which is super cool. So for doing really interesting rhythmic effects things, this is fun. You can also use this in conjunction with Apple loops in order to chop them up and then resequence them with the step sequencer and use all the probability and stuff to do some interesting things. And again, also with these new sounds, I will download those and I will do a video probably in a few days. Maybe we can make a track with those and incorporate all these features. And yeah, by now I'm hoping that you're starting to see that Logic is really sort of a connected system. You've got all of these great tools that you use to make music, and you can just kind of keep going, and you don't have to really get much else. I have a few plugins like from Native Instruments, and I use Splice as well for some samples. But I really also like a lot of the Logic stock sounds, especially now with the 10.5 and 10.6 updates. And it seems like they keep adding new sounds like every few months now, which is really amazing considering that not even like that long ago, it was mainly every few years you would have some new sound content, and then they would kind of go away for a bit, and then they would come back and have more, and then they'd go away and come back. So this is great to see that there's more sounds being added on a regular basis. I think a lot of that is probably fueled by people using GarageBand who are sick and tired of the sounds they've had since like 2013 and want more. So Apple was like, okay, let's just devote some resources to crafting these really high quality sound packs in different styles and give them to everybody for free. And, use them in your music and don't need to worry about licensing or anything like that. And that's amazing. That's really cool to see. I think this is going on a completely different tangent, but I think this is important. I think there is definitely a use for services like Splice. I love Splice because it gives you sounds that like Apple probably would never put into Logic. Like maybe they would. I don't know. I'll turn around and they'll do it. But like sound effects, for example. So like found sound type of stuff. It's funny. I was actually just doing a project for school that required me to find some like sound that you wouldn't normally associate with music. So like I don't know, like a bird tweeting, or in my case, I used a sample of one of my friends making coffee in a Keurig, and I basically went in and like chopped it up and made it into its own little thing. Stuff like that is really interesting to me, and it's cool. Yeah, so Splice is a lot of that kind of stuff. You can obviously sample it yourself, and now with AirDrop in iOS, it's so easy. If you have an iPhone, it's like night and day. You can just go in and you record something, you go around the house or you go outside, and then you just come back, you AirDrop it to your Mac. It's right there immediately. You put it into Logic, you have fun, you mix it, you do all sorts of stuff. And especially now, again, with the 10.5 update, they've really added sort of a fun element that I think was there before. It never really felt like work to use Logic. Like, I can compare it to some other programs that I've used that really feel like work. Like, you have to know exactly what you're doing, and obviously you do have to know what you're doing. It's not like it's going to make all the decisions for you, but it makes it a lot easier because it's a much friendlier interface, and the fact that they were able to make it as accessible as it is today is amazing. I mean, the fact that now we've come to a point now where, I mean, it will look at tracks and tell you if they're soloed or not. I mean, no other DAW does that without, like, third-party plugins. It's doing it natively, and that's amazing, and I think that it's just going to keep growing in terms of what it's going to be able to do in the future. So I have a lot of content coming up because I am getting on vacation, like, this Friday. I'm going to be on vacation. So I'm going to have a lot of time to sit down with you guys and do more content. I will finally do that part 3 of the drummer series. I'm sorry, I've been slacking a lot. So I will do that as well, because I know people are probably waiting for that. And I will do some automation stuff. I will do some more step sequencer videos if this is something that people like. And I also saw a comment that someone said they liked that video I made a few months ago where I was like remaking a techno song. So I can do more stuff like that. I can make like some pop stuff, maybe some, I don't know, some jazz or stuff like that. Give me suggestions maybe for genres you might like to see in the comments. And hopefully going forward I'll be able to be a bit more active on this channel and devote some more time. So yeah, look forward to that. I will see you guys soon. Have a great week. Stay safe. Stay inside. Wear a mask. All that kind of obligatory stuff that I feel like I have to say now. Hopefully we get a vaccine soon. And I will see you guys probably in a few days. So have a good day and see you soon.